Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into RevOps.
Okay.
That's revenue operations, and why it's really essential for SaaS businesses like yours
Yeah.
to be thriving in 2025.
Right.
So you sent us this fantastic guide
Okay.
called 9 RevOps Best Practices, Ultimate 2025 Guide for B2B SaaS,
Right.
published just a few weeks ago on Superdemo's blog by Prince Centrago.
Yeah, it's a great guide.
Clearly, you're looking to optimize revenue generation,
Absolutely.
and this guide is packed with great actionable insights.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We're seeing a massive shift in the SaaS world as more and more companies are realizing that RevOps is the key to unlocking predictable and scalable growth.
Yeah, I've heard RevOps mentioned a lot lately, but I have to admit I'm still wrapping my head around
Sure.
what it actually means in practice.
Yeah,
It feels like one of those buzzwords that gets thrown around without a clear definition.
I get it.
What's your take on that?
I understand the skepticism, but trust me, RevOps is much more than just a buzzword. It's a fundamental shift in how businesses think about revenue generation. At its core, RevOps is about breaking down those traditional silos between departments like sales, marketing, and customer success, and getting everyone working together towards a common goal, driving revenue.
So it's not just about each department doing their own thing anymore.
Right.
It's about creating a unified revenue-generating machine.
Precisely. It's about fostering a culture of collaboration where everyone is aligned on the same goals and metrics, and the glue that holds it all together. Data. RevOps leverages data to gain a holistic understanding of the customer journey, from the very first touch point all the way through to renewal and expansion. By analyzing this data, you can identify bottlenecks, optimize processes, and personalize the customer experience at every stage.
Okay, starting to see the bigger picture here, but let's get down to brass tacks.
Yeah.
Why is RevOps so critical to B2B SaaS success specifically?
Right.
What's the real impact on the bottom line?
I'm glad you asked. The numbers don't lie. Companies that effectively implement RevOps see a significant increase in revenue growth. Think along the lines of a potential 36% increase. And it's not just about top-line growth either. We're also talking about improved profitability, with some companies seeing up to a 28% increase.
Wow, those are some impressive figures.
Yeah.
But how exactly does RevOps achieve these kinds of results?
Right.
What's the secret sauce?
There's no magic formula, but the core principle is aligning all your revenue-generating functions around a data-driven approach. In the SaaS world, it's not just about closing the initial deal. It's about nurturing the customer relationship over time, ensuring they're getting value from your product, and ultimately growing their business alongside yours. RevOps provides the framework and insights to manage that entire customer lifecycle proactively.
Got it. So RevOps is all about breaking down silos, using data to understand the customer journey, and creating a seamless experience that drives both revenue and customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty powerful combination.
Absolutely. And the best part is that there are proven best practices you can implement to make RevOps a reality in your business.
And that brings us to the heart of this deep dive.
Okay.
The 9 RevOps best practices outlined in this guide.
Right.
I know we can't cover all 9 in detail, but let's focus on a few that stand out as particularly impactful.
That sounds like a great plan. Why don't we start with strategic forecasting?
Okay.
This is one area where we see companies making significant gains when they embrace a RevOps mindset.
Let's do it. Forecasting is always top of mind, especially for a SaaS business where recurring revenue is king.
Exactly. The guide emphasizes moving away from guesswork and gut feelings and instead using data to create accurate revenue predictions. One compelling case study they highlight is Envision Pharma. They were experiencing rapid growth but had multiple sales teams operating in silos, making accurate forecasting nearly impossible.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It was.
How did they manage to turn things around?
They implemented a unified commercial framework, a single source of truth for their revenue data, if you will. But the real game changer was standardizing their sales process across all teams, ensuring everyone tracked and managed their pipelines in the same way. This consistency and transparency enabled them to get a much clearer view of their future revenue and make more informed decisions.
So it's not just about having the data, it's about having the right processes in place
Right.
to ensure that data is accurate, consistent,
Yeah,
and accessible to everyone involved in revenue generation.
precisely. And it highlights a key takeaway for you. By unifying your commercial framework and standardizing your sales process, you can create a more predictable and scalable revenue engine.
Great insight. So strategic forecasting is about using data to drive accurate revenue predictions and make more informed business decisions.
Yeah.
What's next on the list of best practices?
Let's talk about smart KPI implementation. This is another area where we see companies struggling. They either get overwhelmed with the sea of metrics or focus on the wrong ones altogether.
So it's not just about tracking every single metric under the sun.
Right.
It's about choosing the KPIs that actually move the needle for your business.
You hit the nail on the head. The guide highlights a few KPIs that are particularly crucial for B2B SaaS companies like yours. The first is customer acquisition costs, CAC, which measures how much you're spending to acquire each new customer. Then there's lifetime value, LTV, which tells you how much revenue you can expect to generate from a customer over the entire course of their relationship with your business. And finally, there's net revenue retention, NRR, which measures your ability to retain and expand revenue from existing customers.
Okay, those are some important metrics to keep an eye on.
Yeah,
But how do you know what targets to set for these KPIs?
right.
It's easy to fall into the trap of setting unrealistic expectations, right?
Absolutely. The guide emphasizes using historical data as your guide. Look at your past performance and use that to inform your goals. If your average cap has been $5,000, don't expect to magically cut it down to $1,000 overnight. Instead, aim for incremental improvements over time.
That's sound advice. Don't compare your Chapter 2 to someone else's Chapter 20, right?
Exactly.
Now I'm curious about pipeline optimization.
Okay.
What are some of the key takeaways from the guide on that front?
Pipeline optimization is all about identifying and plugging those revenue leaks in your sales process. The guide highlights the importance of clear ownership for every account, so there's no confusion about who's responsible for moving the deal forward.
So no more deals slipping through the cracks because everyone's assuming someone else is handling it.
Exactly. The guide also talks about quota management, ensuring that sales reps have a pipeline that's large enough to consistently hit their targets. They recommend aiming for a pipeline that's 10 to 15 times the size of your quota.
That makes sense. You need a healthy pipeline to fuel consistent revenue growth.
Right.
Anything else stand out in this section?
They highlight the importance of tracking pipeline velocity, how long deals spend in each stage of the sales process, and setting benchmarks to identify and address any bottlenecks. This data-driven approach can help you streamline your sales process and shorten the sales cycle.
Sounds like pipeline optimization is all about visibility, accountability, and efficiency.
You got it. Now, the guide also mentions a few tools that can help speed up the sales process, one of which is particularly interesting, Suka-Demo. It's a platform for creating interactive product demos.
Interactive demos.
Yeah,
Sounds intriguing.
it is.
Tell me more.
Imagine replacing those static PowerPoint presentations with engaging product tours that prospects can explore at their own pace. The guide mentions that these interactive demos can increase user engagement by a whopping 250% and significantly shorten the sales cycle.
Wow, that's a pretty compelling case for ditching the old school slides.
It is.
What else is so great about interactive demos?
You can track which features prospects are clicking on and interacting with, giving you valuable insights into their needs and interests. This allows you to tailor your sales pitch and future demos to what matters most to each prospect.
So it's not just about making the demo more engaging. It's about gathering valuable data
Right.
that can inform your entire sales strategy.
Precisely. And that data can be seamlessly integrated with your CRM, creating a closed-loop system that drives continuous improvement.
Okay, I'm starting to see the power of interactive demos. It's not just about the demo itself, it's about the data and insights you can gather to personalize the customer experience and drive more sales.
Exactly. And that's just one example of how technology can play a key role in optimizing your revenue operations.
Well, I am hooked.
Good.
Clearly, we've only just scratched the surface of these RevOps best practices.
You're absolutely right. We've only covered a few of the 9 best practices so far, but I think you're starting to get a sense of the transformative power of RevOps.
Definitely. I'm already seeing so many ways that these insights could be applied to improve my own business. Listeners, you'll have to tune into part 2 to hear about the rest.
It's going to be good.
It is. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're in the midst of exploring these 9 incredible RevOps best practices for B2B SaaS success. And let me tell you, my brain is buzzing with ideas.
That's great to hear. It's always exciting to see those light bulb moments happening as we unpack these concepts.
Absolutely. Where did we leave off? Oh, right. We were about to dive into sales team enablement.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this one is going to be packed with practical tips.
You're in for a treat. Sales team enablement is all about giving your sales team the tools, resources, and training they need to close more deals and drive revenue growth. The guide emphasizes the importance of creating a central resource hub where all sales materials are easily accessible.
Okay, so no more searching through endless email threads
Right.
or shared drives to find that one crucial piece of information.
Exactly. Imagine a world where your sales team has instant access to everything they need right at their fingertips. Think pitch decks, product specs, customer stories, pricing guides, all organized and tagged by buyer persona, deal stage, and use case.
Sounds like a sales rep's dream.
It is.
What about training? How do you ensure that your sales team stays sharp and up to date on the latest strategies and best practices?
The guide recommends a multi-pronged approach. First, create standardized guidebooks that outline best practices for every stage of the sales process, from email templates and call scripts to objection handling techniques. This ensures consistency and helps new reps get up to speed quickly.
So it's like having a playbook for sales success, right?
Exactly.
What else is recommended for training?
Regular training sessions are crucial. Whether it's weekly team meetings to share wins and losses, practice pitches, or review tough objections, the key is to make training interactive and engaging. Think role-playing scenarios and real-world case studies rather than death by PowerPoint.
I love that. Hands-on learning is so much more effective than passive listening. Now, the guy also mentions data-driven decision-making as a key best practice. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one.
This section is all about leveraging data to make informed decisions across all aspects of your revenue operations. From marketing campaigns to sales strategies, the guide stresses the importance of clean, accurate data, highlighting that companies with high-quality data close 30% more deals.
That's a significant increase.
It is.
So how do you ensure your data is in tip-top shape?
It starts with setting strict rules for data entry. Make certain fields mandatory, like deal size, close date, and next steps. This helps to ensure that everyone is inputting data consistently and accurately. And don't forget to run regular data audits to catch any inconsistencies or missing information.
So it's not just about setting the rules.
Right.
It's about actively monitoring and maintaining data quality over time.
Precisely. Now, the guide also mentions the power of predictive scoring, using data to identify which leads are most likely to convert into paying customers.
Okay, tell me more about predictive scoring. It sounds like a game changer.
Imagine this. You have 100 leads in your pipeline. Instead of treating them all equally and spreading your resources thin, you could use predictive scoring to identify the 20 leads with the highest likelihood of converting.
So you're focusing your efforts on the leads with the greatest potential.
Right.
Which frees up your team to pursue other high-value activities.
Exactly. And you can use historical data to build your predictive scoring model. What characteristics do your best customers share? What actions do they take early in the sales cycle? By identifying these patterns, you can create a scoring system that accurately predicts which leads are most likely to become long-term, profitable customers.
That's incredible. So predictive scoring is all about using data to work smarter, not harder.
Precisely. Now, moving on to another critical area, technology stack integration. This one can be a real headache for businesses, especially as they grow and add more tools to their arsenal.
Oh, I know the feeling. It's like trying to fit puzzle pieces from different sets together. Sometimes it feels impossible to get everything to work seamlessly.
Yeah, I hear you.
What advice does the guide offer on this front?
It starts with choosing one CRM as your single source of truth. Think of it as the central nervous system of your revenue operations.
So all your other tools feed into the CRM, creating a 360-degree view of the customer.
Exactly. And once you have your CRM foundation in place, you can start connecting your other key systems like marketing automation, calendar apps, contract tools, and anything else that plays a role in your revenue operations.
The goal being to create seamless workflows so you're not wasting time copying and pasting data between different systems.
Exactly. Automation is your best friend here. By automating these data flows, you can free up your team to focus on higher value activities like building relationships and closing deals.
Love it. Now, speaking of creating a seamless experience, let's talk about customer journey enhancement. What insights does the guide offer on this one?
This section is all about creating a delightful customer experience from start to finish. The guide talks about the importance of mapping out your current customer journey and identifying any friction points.
So it's about putting yourself in the customer's shoes and understanding their experience at every touch point.
Exactly. Where are customers getting stuck? Where are things slowing down? Once you've identified these pain points, you can start implementing solutions.
What kind of solutions are we talking about here?
The guide highlights the power of personalization. Instead of using generic one-size-fits-all communications, tailor your interactions to each customer's specific needs and preferences. Use the data you've gathered to segment your customers and deliver targeted messages that resonate with them.
So the right message to the right person at the right time.
Exactly.
How do you achieve that level of personalization in practice?
There are a few key strategies. First, use data to create detailed customer profiles that include information about their industry, company size, role, pain points, and goals. Second, leverage marketing automation tools to segment your audience and trigger personalized email sequences based on their behavior and preferences. Third, use dynamic content on your website and in your marketing materials to tailor the experience to each individual visitor.
Wow, it's amazing how much you can do with data these days. It's like having a personal shopper for every customer. Okay, what's next on our list of best practices?
Process standardization. It's all about creating order out of chaos and establishing clear, repeatable workflows that save time, reduce errors, and improve efficiency. The guide recommends starting with your core processes, the ones that are absolutely critical to your revenue generation, like lead qualification or customer onboarding.
So documenting every step of those processes, right?
Right.
Who does what, when, using which tools.
Exactly. And don't forget to establish clear handoffs between teams. Marketing passes, qualified leads to sales, sales transfers, closed deals to customer success, and so on. Document those handoff triggers and ensure everyone understands the process.
Seamless transitions, less confusion, fewer dropped balls.
You got it.
Got it. What about quality checks? How do you ensure that processes are being followed correctly and that nothing slips through the cracks?
That's a great question. The guide recommends building quality checks into your workflows using automation wherever possible. For example, your CRM could automatically validate contact data before a deal moves forward, or support tickets could require 2 responses before they can be closed.
Smart. Those little checks and balances can go a long way in preventing costly mistakes.
Absolutely. Now, last but certainly not least, we have change management.
Okay.
I think we can all agree that even the best ideas fall flat if people resist them.
Oh, 100%. Change can be scary, especially when you're introducing new processes, tools, and ways of working. How does the guide address this very human element of RevOps implementation?
It all starts with clear communication. You need to explain why these changes are happening, how they benefit the company as a whole, and how they'll make each person's job easier. It's about painting a clear picture of the future and getting everyone excited about the possibilities.
So it's about building buy-in and creating a shared vision for the future.
Exactly.
What else is recommended for managing change effectively?
The guide also emphasizes the importance of starting small. Choose a pilot group that's open to change and work with them to implement a new process or tool. Track the results, celebrate the wins, and use those success stories to build momentum and buy-in from the rest of the team.
That's a great strategy. Start small, prove the concept, and then scale it up. I like it. Anything else on change management before we move on?
One final point, don't forget about ongoing support. Provide your team with the training, resources, and support they need to embrace these changes and succeed in their roles. Make it clear that you're there to help them every step of the way.
That's fantastic advice. Change is a journey, not a destination, right?
Right.
It's about creating a culture of continuous improvement and empowering your team to adapt and grow along the way. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about strategic forecasting, smart KPI implementation, sales team enablement, data-driven decision-making, technology stack integration, customer journey enhancement, process standardization, and change management. Phew, that's a mouthful.
We've certainly covered a lot, but there's still one more best practice to discuss, RevOps implementation challenges. It's all about anticipating the potential roadblock you might encounter along the way and having a plan in place to overcome them.
I have a feeling this is going to be particularly relevant for our listener.
It is.
Everyone faces challenges when implementing new initiatives, and RevOps is no exception. Let's dive into those challenges in part 3 of this deep dive.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've made it to part 3. We've journeyed through the world of RevOps, explored its power and those 9 game-changing best practices. But as with any transformative initiative, there are bound to be some challenges along the way. You're absolutely right. Implementing RevOps isn't always a smooth ride. There are bumps in the road, but anticipating those challenges can make all the difference.
And thankfully, this guide for diving into doesn't shy away from the tough stuff.
No, it doesn't.
It dedicates a whole section to common RevOps implementation challenges. I'm betting our listener will find this part particularly insightful.
I agree. Let's start with one of the most common hurdles that companies face, data quality and trust issues.
Oh, data was a tale as old as time. I imagine this is especially tricky when you have data scattered across multiple systems.
It certainly is. You end up with sales, marketing, and finance, all working with different versions of the truth. That's why the guide emphasizes establishing a single source of truth. And it all begins with a thorough data audit.
So roll up your sleeves and really dig into the data. What are you looking for in this audit?
You're looking for inconsistencies, missing information, and any discrepancies that could be skewing your insights. Focus on those critical fields like deal values, close dates, and customer information, anything that directly impacts your revenue.
It's about getting that data house in order. But even with squeaky clean data, there's still the issue of trust, right?
Oh, yeah.
People need to believe in the data to actually use it effectively.
Absolutely. If teams don't trust the data, they'll just revert back to their old ways, creating shadow spreadsheets and side systems. That defeats the whole purpose of RevOps.
So how do you build that trust in the data?
Transparency is key. Involve stakeholders from different departments in the data cleanup process. Show them how the data is being collected, cleaned, and analyzed. And don't forget to establish clear data governance rules and procedures.
Make data accuracy everyone's responsibility. I like it. Okay, what's the next challenge on the list?
The dreaded team resistance and change fatigue. You're introducing new processes, new tools, and new ways of working, and people just get tired of all the change, especially if they've been through failed implementations in the past.
It's that skepticism that we've tried this before and it didn't work mentality. So how do you get people on board when they're already feeling burned out?
The guide recommends focusing on those quick wins. Identify a process that's causing pain for everyone, like manual reporting or those clunky deal handouts. Then fix it quickly and efficiently. Track the time savings, celebrate the improvements, and show people that these changes actually make their lives easier.
Show them the light at the end of the tunnel. Tangible benefits speak louder than words. Okay, what about challenge number 3?
System overload and integration issues. This one's a classic, especially for those fast-growing SaaS companies that keep adding new tools to their tech stack without a clear integration strategy.
Ah, yes, the Frankenstein tech stack, data scattered across different platforms, manual data entry galore, no single view of the customer. It's a recipe for inefficiency and frustration.
You nailed it. And the guide's advice is to simplify, simplify, simplify. Map out every tool in your tech stack and its core purpose. Are there any overlaps? Can you eliminate redundant systems?
Streamline and consolidate. But what about those essential tools that can't be eliminated? How do you ensure they're all playing nicely together?
Focus on building clean integrations between your core platforms, your CRM, customer support system, billing system, anything that plays a critical role in your revenue operations.
Got it. Seamless data flow, less manual effort, more accurate insights. Okay, on to challenge number 4, what's in store for us?
Process gaps and handoff problems. This is all about those critical moments when information gets lost between teams. Marketing qualifies a lead, but it disappears into a black hole before reaching sales. A deal closes, but the customer waits days for onboarding. Sound familiar?
Painfully familiar. These kinds of breakdowns create frustration for everyone involved, especially the customer. What's the solution?
The guide stresses the importance of mapping out your entire revenue process from the very first customer touchpoint to renewal and beyond. Document every step, every handoff, every trigger. Who's responsible for what? When do they take ownership? And what information needs to be shared?
Leave nothing to chance. Clarity is key. Okay, we're on to the final challenge. What is it?
Resource and focus constraints. This one's a real killer. Companies try to tackle too much once, spread themselves thin, and end up with a bunch of half-finished initiatives and a whole lot of frustration.
Try to boil the oceans, as they say. So how do you avoid falling into that trap?
Prioritize ruthlessly. Use a simple framework to rank your projects based on impact and effort. Focus on one high-impact initiative at a time. Give it your full attention, and see it through to completion before moving on to the next thing.
Break it down into manageable chunks and celebrate those wins along the way. Fantastic advice. So there you have it, 5 common RevOps implementation challenges and some practical strategies for overcoming them.
Remember, implementing RevOps is a journey, not a destination. There will be bumps along the way, but by anticipating these challenges and having a plan in place, you can navigate them successfully and unlock the full potential of RevOps for your SaaS business.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap up this deep dive into RevOps, I'm curious, what resonated most with you from all of this? Any major takeaways or haha moments?
Honestly, the thing that always strikes me about RevOps is how it connects the dots between departments. It's not just about tools and processes. It's about fostering a culture of collaboration and data-driven decision-making. It's about aligning everyone around the customer and creating a truly customer-centric organization.
I love that. It's about breaking down those silos and creating a unified revenue engine that's firing